Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official podcast of 1067thebridge.com. Of course, we all know 1067thebridge.com is a free online radio station streaming the very finest classic American R&B, smooth and urban jazz, Ethiopian and Afro soul dance music worldwide 24 hours a day. With great shows such as Inside the Quiet Storm by Lisa London, The Prince Hakeem Show, Dante's Urban Jazz, and KO Sports Question of the Day. So all you have to do to listen is go on your web browser and look up 1067thebridge.com. That's all you got to do. Just go to 1067thebridge.com. My name is Ross Watkins, and I am the official intern for 1067thebridge.com. So it's a pleasure to be interning for this great radio station. And, you know, the higher ups, the big boss, told me to create a podcast for 1067 The Bridge. And they gave me a lot of creative freedom when creating a topic for the podcast. And I am a graduating senior at Hampton University who's going to graduate with a bachelor's in journalism with an emphasis in liberal arts. And I also do stand-up comedy. That is something I'm very passionate about. I do stand-up comedy, I do podcasting, and I do writing. So I wanted to do something that kind of mixed stand-up comedy and music. And I was wondering how I was going to do that. And then I realized a big component of comedy is walk-up music. What music you walk up to when you go on stage and you perform in front of hundreds of people. That's very important. It sets the mood, it sets the tone, it brings energy to the crowd. And so I decided I'm going to talk about walk-up music, and I'm going to have two interviews with two very famous, well-known comedians and two close friends of mine. Leonard Ouzts, a very great comic, and Chris Spencer, comedic genius and great writer from Los Angeles, California. And so we're going to dive straight into those interviews. I really hope you enjoy them. But first, let's listen to one of our advertisers. Call 1-800-377-1456 to get the assistance you need to quit drugs. Again, that's 1-800-377-1456. Call to get the help that you need today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another...
I'm here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 1067thebridge.com. Of course, it's a free online radio station streaming the very finest classic American R&B, smooth and urban jazz, Ethiopian, and Afro soul dance music worldwide, 24 hours a day. And to listen, all you got to do is just go to 1067thebridge.com. But this is the podcast, and I am your host, Ross Watkins, the intern, of course, and I appreciate you guys letting me host for your guys' podcast. This is the first episode, of course, and the topic of today's podcast is walk-up music in stand-up comedy. Of course, I'm a couple years into doing stand-up comedy, and so I wanted to do a podcast that kind of blended music and comedy, and walk-up music was the thing I came up with. And of course, I just want to say a quick thank you to my guest for joining me today, Chris Spencer, comedian, writer. Thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely.
I first wanted to start it off for the viewers who may not be very well known into comedy, since this is a music radio station. Just give a little bit about yourself, how you got into comedy, and other roles you play in the comedy community, because you're such a big figure.
Hi, my name is Chris Spencer. I'm 6 foot. I'm a Capricorn. I'm 55 years old, and I've been doing this about 30 plus years. I've traveled the globe doing stand-up. I've written on a lot of award shows, from the ESPYs, the MTV Awards, BET Awards, BET Honors, BET Hip Hop Awards, a lot of black stuff.
All the black stuff.
And I created a show called Real Husbands of Hollywood. I was instrumental in the beginning, the inaugural season of Wild 'N Out. I've done 2 Showtime specials. You may know me from the Real Husbands of Hollywood. You've seen me a couple times on there. Jamie Foxx show. I was on there. Being Mary Jane. I've been in this game a long time.
A veteran, basically.
Jamie Foxx, yeah, I said Jamie Foxx show. Yeah, Def Jam, Comic View, Arsenio, George Lopez show. Like I've run the gamut.
You've run it all. You did everything. You're a veteran.
Hmm.
So I really appreciate you coming on. And then,
Absolutely.
how did you get into comedy?
Um, Class clowns, and my roommate in college was Susie McCullough, who's another very very funny comedian. We were around a bunch of girls, and they're like, "What do you want to do?" He's like, "I want to be a comic," and they're like, "Oh my god, I love comedy. My favorite comic is this person, this person, this person," and they were all over him. And they said to me, "What about you?" I was like, I want to be a comedian." And just like that, I was a comedian. I had no
You were just trying to get the
thought.
girls at the time.
I was trying to get the girls.
And who knew it would turn into a profession?
Who knew? A lot of things like that have happened in my life. Comedy happened to me like that. When I hosted my late night talk show Vibe, like the magazine, it wasn't something I wanted. I was talked into it. This movie I just directed, featuring Tiffany Haddish, Wesley Snipes, Kevin Hart,
Oh yeah, it
a
wasn't
lot of other comedians.
the premiere was yesterday.
It wasn't a premiere; it was a screening, which your family came to. I was just, I just wrote it and sold it, and they were like, "Who's gonna direct it?" And my writing partner was like, "Chris has to direct it." I was like, "I do," and that's how I became the director of this feature, which comes out April 21st.
How was that experience directing? Because are you familiar with
Incredible.
directing?
I've directed a few videos, some commercials, a few pornos, but nothing like this. Nothing like this.
But that's great.
So it was incredible.
Of course. So 1067 The Bridge is, of course, a free online radio station with music. And what I wanted to do was kind of blend walk up music and stand up comedy and just music in general.
Hmm.
So, was walk up music something that you really thought about when you started doing stand up?
Well, let's talk about this. White rooms, mainstream rooms, they don't really do it.
Yes.
It's not really their thing. So it's always funny, which when we can be in the exact same club on a Sunday night when there's a DJ and it's lively and you feel like you're in a nightclub, and then the next night you're at the Laugh Factory on Monday night and there's no DJ, and it's almost awkward to come on stage without hearing a beat. And before the Def Jam was out, places where your dad was, like the Peppermint Lounge or the Pontiac Theater out here in L.A., and jokes and jokes and notes in Chicago and all these other places all across the country. Urban rooms played urban music to bring you up to, and it put the crowd in a mood, and it made you feel good and ready to perform. And it's just so weird that many mainstream rooms don't do that.
But why do you think these white rooms, mainstream rooms, don't do that? Because it's something that I noticed too. So I was always curious about it.
Um, that's just how we are as we're just everything with us is rhythm. You know what I mean? Rhythm, and that's just our culture, and that's not their culture. That's not Pilgrims didn't play drums. You know what I mean?
They
But
played the
fucking
flute or
Native
something.
Americans did,
Yeah.
and Africans did, and that's just the Latino culture that's music, rhythm. You know what I mean? You ain't never seen no. I mean, let me take it back. Of course, if you dig deep, Scottish, English, Irish, but I don't think they ever performed before. There was no play at the Royal Shakespearean Theatre in London, and like before we do Othello, you know, DJ Shakespeare is gonna be on the wheels of steel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just a culture. It's just culturally that's not their thing.
It's not their thing. Even like when I come and watch you in LA, um, we'll say like we'll go to like the Comedy Store maybe, and they'll bring you up to some very Caucasian music, I can say.
Yes.
And then you go up there, and the first thing you say is, "You guys gonna play any black music for me?"
Or no, I usually go, "Did you guys know I was black?" I'll be like, "That last song you played, I think they hung slaves too."
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's just a complete vibe killer, I think, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of music do you like to walk up to? Any artist particular specific?
Um, as of late, I've been coming up to American Gangster by Tupac and Snoop. I used to come up to Jadena's Classic Man. Right? If I'm somewhere fancy or looking clean.
I'm a classic man. You can be me when you look this clean. I'm a classic man.
You remember that? I'm a classic man. Hey, hey,
Yeah.
you can be me if you look this clean. So if I'm suited and booted, that I used to come up to Tevin Campbell's "Can We Talk."
Can we talk for a minute? Girl, I want to know your name.
Because the crowd would sing it right before I got on stage, and we'd all be singing it.
Oh, that's
Now
good
I
engagement.
got the,
No, that's an
yes,
HBC. That's an HBCU classic song. Like
yes.
everybody, like
I
we're in our
stole it from
20s, but we
Deion
still know
Cole.
that song.
I stole that from Deion Cole. He said, "Take it." I did it once or twice, and I felt guilty because I was like, "This works too good. He should keep it."
Oh my god, that song is. I love that song.
Yeah.
It's way beyond my time, but I still love it.
Let me tell you how incredible that song is. My kids were at a track meet. The DJ was playing every song you think of: Prince, Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, Joe, The Game, Wu Tang, Jay Z, Beyonce, and everybody was going about their business. And then he played Tevin Campbell's "Can We Talk." The entire stadium sang the song. Right. As a matter of fact, wait, let me rewind. I went and told the DJ to play the song because Tevin was there.
Oh, he was there.
His nephew ran track. So they started playing "Can We Talk." Even the janitor was singing. The guy raking the pit where the long jumpers worked. The judges, even the white judges, "Can we talk for a minute?" The whole place, and Tevin is sitting there kind of stoic, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel bad. He didn't want this attention, right?
Yeah.
The next day, his best friend is one of Vanessa's best friends, and he called her and said, "I can't believe Chris Spencer did that for me. He actually told the DJ to play my song, and I didn't know how to act. I want to tell, can you please tell him thank you?"
Oh my god.
Is that crazy? And let me tell you more. And I'm kind of like, I've done this quite a few times in my life where I'm like the catalyst to some fantastic stuff that happens, but I don't get credit. The next couple weeks, Tank decides to do a "Can We Talk" challenge, right?
Yeah.
Because I went on the radio and told this story before, and all of a sudden now everybody's doing a "Can We Talk" challenge, and now Tevin Campbell is booked in clubs and theaters and concerts all across the country.
Now he's everywhere.
And nobody might not admit it, but I think my story inspired Tank, which inspired the world to go, "Oh my God, we got to put Tevin on the show. Tevin is a monster."
Well, if some people won't admit it, 1067thebridge.com, the viewers, they'll know. They'll know for sure.
Good, 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 good.
What other artists are you into right now?
Let me see. Um, am I into? I was doing the soundtrack to my movie, and ironically, some of the music I got was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, who just did who was on the Grammys for the 50 years of 50-year anniversary of hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
and they were actually on the stage. They were like the first act on stage, and so I've been listening to all that stuff. The message and looking for the perfect beat and all the stuff from that era, Africa Bambaataa, and that was just a great time for music, the early '80s.
Of course.
Yeah. And then I love the '70s. I love Parliament, Confunction, Cameo. I love Earth, Wind and Fire, the Commodores. I love, you know, and then I love Billy Joel, and I love, um, uh, David Bowie, and I love reggae. You know, I come from a Caribbean background, so Ziggy Marley, and of course Bob Marley and Damian Marley, and all 46 other Marley. They're like Jamaican Wayans. You
I've
know,
never heard it that way.
yes, in living cola. Yeah, man. And so we were having a talk yesterday about some of the dopest female MCs, and I was like, of course, Queen Latifah and Lauryn Hill and Yo Yo and MC Light. Um, yeah, I think they don't get their just due. Roxanne. Yeah, I'm a lover of music, especially urban music.
Yeah, it was funny. Yesterday, for one of my classes, we were talking about what are the best musicians, artists that like kind of switched into doing acting, and my teacher defended Queen Latifah for a while.
Right.
But yeah, I think she's
Got
one
it.
of the best artists that switch into acting.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, a lot of them made the crossover. You know, LL and of course Will Smith, and music has afforded a lot of people another. Being successful in music has allowed these people to have other careers. You know what I mean? Kid and Play.
Yes.
You know, they started off. They were rappers. And Mary J. Blige. I mean, I just saw her. You know, she's on one of those Power spinoffs, and she's actually. They did a movie about Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott, and I think she's playing. She's playing one of them, and Angela Bassett's playing the other. You know what I mean? Beyonce's done quite a few movies, so if you're successful in music, they're gonna give you the opportunity to do other stuff. Common, is an artist first.
Yes. I'm not gonna hold you up, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining me for this podcast for 106.7 The
Anytime
Bridge.
and every time. You're gonna talk tomorrow, they call me.
Of course.
I love to talk. And of course, I love you, brother.
I love you too. Thank you so much.
Indeed.
I hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Chris Spencer here on 1067thebridge.com podcast. Before we get into our next guest, let's listen to a message from one of our advertisers. Are you injured? If so, call the Accident Attorney Helpline at 1-800-823-5789. Don't delay. Witnesses and evidence are time sensitive in an accident. Call today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast of 1067thebridge.com. Of course, 1067thebridge.com is a free online radio station streaming the very finest classic American R&B, smooth and urban jazz, Ethiopian, and Afro soul dance music worldwide 24 hours a day. And to listen and to engage, all you got to do is type in 1067thebridge.com to listen. But this is the podcast. This is the official podcast, and I am your host, the intern, of course, Ross Watkins. It is a pleasure to be your host. And the topic of today's podcast episode is walk-up music and stand-up comedy. We wanted to make sure that we had a little mix of music into every topic of the podcast. And since I do stand-up comedy, we decided to mix the two and do a podcast about walk-up music because it's a very important component of stand-up comedy. Not a lot of people think about it, but it is. And we were very fortunate enough to have my great friend join us today for the conversation, Leonard Ouzts. Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Of course. For the people that are listening and may not know who you are, how did you first get into stand-up comedy?
I first got into stand-up comedy at Virginia State University. I was, as a freshman, I joined a performing arts organization, and I just started doing comedy, and I fell in love with it instantly. I mean, I've always been funny, but when I actually got to, some structure around it, you know what I mean? Some, learning how to write a joke and figuring out what's funny, what's not. Definitely. I got to shout out my organization, Panic 2000, on the illustrious campus of the Virginia State University.
And Who were the people that you like really looked up to when you first started out?
When I first started out doing comedy, the first live comedy show I ever saw was D. Ray Davis. It was at Virginia State. It was D. Ray Davis headline. Timmy Hall was on the show, who I was a fan of because I grew up watching Comic View, and my mentor Bodacious. So I mean, one of my first shows was great. You know what I mean? Get to see that. Bodacious, me and him clicked immediately. I emailed him immediately. Like as soon as he told us his info, I hit him up, and me and him been locked in now. Almost 12 years. Like that's my dude. I still call him to this day. Guys like Bodacious, me and D-Ray really tight. It's a guy, Michael Bam Bam White. He definitely helped me a lot when I first started. Yeah, I mean, pretty much anybody that was willing to talk to me.
Yeah. And you just said Bodacious. Is Bodacious from Virginia? Because I've had the pleasure of seeing him a couple times at the Virginia Beach Funny Bone.
Yeah, Bodacious is one of Norfolk's finest. Bodacious right here from the 757, yes sir.
From the 757. And you've performed many times at the Virginia Beach Funny Bone here in Virginia Beach.
Yeah, that's one of my home clubs. That's definitely, when I became of age, that's definitely a place that I was in a lot. Trying to get that work in.
Mm-hmm. And then when you saw D. Ray Davis perform at VSU, was it at that center, the multi-purpose center?
No, that was before the multi-purpose center was built. This was I saw Bodacious. It was at the gym.
Gotcha.
We were right there in the gym.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know that because I went to the VSU multi-purpose center a couple months ago. I think it was October, to watch Earthquake and Donnell performed. It looked fairly new.
Yeah, it's real new. I did it last year in October with Samore, Lavelle, and who else was on this show? Me, Samore, Lavelle, and Earthquake was on that show too.
Oh,
this
really?
was before his special came out. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then starting off, because you're from Virginia, of course. How many years are you into stand-up now?
I am 11, almost 12 years in a stand-up.
11, okay. 11, 12. And then going into the component of walk-up music, did you ever really think about it when you started doing comedy, how important it was?
Not really.
Yeah.
I never really, yeah. It wasn't, because the comics that I came up on, the music don't matter, it's the jokes. But then as you start to, go further into it, you start to say, oh, that does matter. That's a part of the persona that I'm putting on for the show. That controls the energy of, of what they see and how they feel about me. You know what I mean? So yeah, the music does matter to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. And then growing up, what kind of music did you listen to? What artists?
The type of music I listen to, whatever my parents put on, really. Yes, whatever my parents put on. I grew up on Joe, Ouzts, but I also grew up on, like Wayne, and I grew up on the people. You know what I mean?
Of course. And I have a little personal question because I'm curious. I always ask all my friends this question. When it comes to Lil Wayne, which album do you think is better, Carter 3 or Carter 4?
Carter 3, no question.
Oh my God. I don't.
You think Carter 4 is better than Carter 3?
I will always say Carter 4 is better than Carter 3. Always.
Oh yeah, I don't know what new drugs they got y'all doing in college. But you need to stop it.
I get it. A Milli and Lollipop are foundational tracks in Lil Wayne's catalog.
Yeah, like no question.
But
like I don't even understand.
I will say that I feel like John makes up the entire album of Carter 4. That Rick Ross feature is top tier.
Yeah. I definitely might have to go listen to that today. Like I definitely might have to do that.
It's
now
a
that
debate.
I'm sitting here.
It's a debate that I'll never I will never finish this debate because everyone says something different every time. When you do shows, what kind of walk up music do you like to walk up to? Of course,
it depends on it depends on where I'm at, how I'm feeling, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Just being honest, because it's like if I'm in a place and it's like, a lot of older people or, a lot of married couples and stuff, I'm not gonna come out to Little Baby. You know what I mean? Unless I really feel like listening to Little Baby. Because it's like they're not gonna connect to that.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? But it's like at the same time, I'm not here for them to connect to the music. I'm here for them to connect to me.
But it also does bring a certain energy uh, to the performance, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. But it's like also like my comedy, I'm a chameleon. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So it's like I don't have to just come out of there. I can come out to some Bon Jovi and make it work for the night. You know
Of
what I mean?
course, yeah. Yeah, but I totally understand that. It's you the people are here for, not the
Right.
music. But I do think that the music is important at some aspect. And then it's crazy because you never really think about it because when you're first starting out because you're just so focused on the material and the jokes.
Yeah,
But
you just trying to be funny.
yeah, you're just trying to be funny. And then at some point when you become more when you level up, you kind of realize, oh, I can add some. If I'm having fun, I can add some more flavor to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I did see you perform at the Virginia Beach Funny Bone back in was that October?
September 30th.
September 30th. It was right before October. Tell us a little about that, if you can.
I shot my debut comedy special, my debut hour special with 85 South Media. Um, it's accumulation of things that people who are familiar with me have seen, and a lot of jokes that they have not. Um, yeah, something I'm really excited about, man. I've been in the game, a decade now, and I just wanted to put something out that you know that kind of let people know that I'm here. You know what I mean? I'm here. I'm here to stay. I ain't going nowhere. Um, so yeah, I mean
Hmm.
that's really it. We think about dropping it sometime soon. Hopefully, the stars align and everything makes sense. And
They are going to align. I know that for sure. And I'm very excited to see it because I was there, I watched it, and it's a good project, and I'm very excited about it.
hey, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate that those kind words because when you get to putting content out and you get to you get to doing all this stuff where you putting it out and it's like once you put it out it's final.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Ain't no reshoots. Ain't no oh well, let me go redo this part. It's like nah, that's it.
Final cut.
Yeah, final cut, final draft. That's it.
Final. Yep, exactly. Well, Leonard, I just want to say thank you again for joining me for this podcast on 1067 The Bridge. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me, bro.
Of course.
I appreciate you guys for listening to my conversations with Leonard Ouzts and Chris Spencer today here on 1067thebridge.com podcast, the first episode of the podcast. My name is Ross Watkins, again, the intern. It was a privilege for me to host for you guys. Before we get out of here, let's listen to one more message from one of our advertisers. Thank you again. Call 1-800-377-1456 to get the assistance that you need to quit drugs. Again, that's 1-800-377-1456. Call to get the help that you need today. To listen to the radio station, all you gotta do is go online and look up 1067thebridge.com. Again, that's 1067thebridge.com. It's a free online radio station streaming the very finest classic American R&B, smooth and urban jazz, Ethiopian, and Afro soul dance music worldwide, 24 hours a day. And make sure to check out the new YouTube channel, 1067 The Bridge Internet Radio. Again, 1067 The Bridge Internet Radio. Subscribe, like, comment, share with a friend. Thank you very much.